So I'm pretty fired up. We got a new segment. It's called Final Take, where Stephen A. and Max are given the floor to go off, and I mean go off, and whatever they want. Stephen A. is going to kick it off today. What are you going to say?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm going to do what I do.
Really?
Yeah. Seriously.
No, we need you to bring it. You need to up it a level. I'll just do what you do. I want extra.
Here's what I will remind people of. Mm-hmm. It's a written commentary.
Oh.
You got to remember, everybody gets all on, caught up and I'm on television. They forget I was a general sports columnist. I was a newspaper journalist for 17 years. So I needed to come back to that just a little bit to, do what I do.
Giving us some of that good writing too?
Well, it's not just about the writing. It's just about, just the ability to sit up there and put the written word.
I can only imagine the words you will use given time to write.
That's right. But I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that. I'll leave that to Max, because Max got me beat. I bought a thesaurus and a dictionary after dealing with Max. I got nothing on Max Kellerman. You understand what I'm saying? But I am here to show him how to be a man of the people. I am here for that.
Final take, end of the show. We will stay tuned.
I am here for that. I am.
And we want people to comment.
Just make sure you have a definite point of view, okay?
Yeah.
Don't be wishy-washy like you always are. Be definitive.
I'll do my best.
All right.
I'll do my best.
We're going to need you to do that on this next subject. Let's get into some of the NFC games. In the desert, the Redskins fall to 6-5-1, third in the NFC East after a loss to the Cardinals on Sunday. Washington has now lost back-to-back games for the first time since weeks 1 and 2. Kirk Cousins with an interception and a lost fumble. Jay Gruden, tell us how you really feel.
I don't like the way we came out. I don't like the way they had 16-play drive right down our throat to start the game. I don't like the way our offense answered with 2 penalties on the first drive and having a punt. That's not the way we want to come out of a football game, getting ready for a good team on the road. I don't like the fact we had 2 turnovers and we didn't cause any. I don't like the fact that we lost the game.
There's been talk about the stretch run, about a potential playoff appearance. Are you worried that at all is distracting them or taking them away from the
There's
focus?
no talk about playoffs over here. We're trying to win the next game. We're not even close to even thinking about the playoffs right now. So a lot's going to happen these last 4 games. And if we get an opportunity to play in them, great. If not, we're going to do the best we can against Philadelphia. That's all I know.
Stephen A., what's he really saying? And I'm underlining really.
What Jay Gruden is really saying, if we really, really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, what he's saying is that his players were feeling themselves a little bit too much, and now they have been humbled. But if you don't believe me, if I'm because, I have been accused of engaging in hyperbole. I have been accused of being a bit cruel. I have been accused of sitting there and attaching stuff to people that they actually didn't do, which is a lie, but that's what they've had the temerity to say about me. So rather than me sit up there and just say it, could y'all do me a favor and give an example of what I'm talking about here?
We won the NFC East, not Philly, not all of them. We won the East. You better remember we got that damn title. Y'all forgot who the real champs in the NFC East is? Everybody looking on the China.
Oh,
Do y'all remember that? I just in case people forgot, I just wanted to make sure that I took the liberty of reminding folks of what the kind of stuff that probably ticked Jay Gruden off. Because see, I was just your whole humble servant, Stephen A. Smith, was just sitting here minding his business, doing his job, articulating positions about the world of sports and what happened the particular day before. And Chris Baker sat up there and then tweeted, came at me. Brian Mitchell with the radio show with my man Doc Walker, 980 ESPN radio in DC. It's much listened to. Great radio show. Beautiful brothers. But Brian Mitchell came at me. I was treated like I talked about his mama or something. I don't know why. I didn't know. Max, I didn't know what was going on.
Washington down in the nation's capital.
I'm just saying, I was his humble servant. He was minding his business, and they got at me. How do you know they're not playing? How do you know they're taking it for granted? Well, what have you done? What have you done? The fact of the matter is, if the playoffs were to begin today, the Washington Redskins with Kirk Cousins, $19.9 million franchise tag with Deshaun Jackson, who there are reports that he might be with the Eagles next year instead of the Redskins, okay, because he's going to be a free agent. Pierre Garçon, who could ball, he's going to be a free agent, okay? You got Matt Jones in the crew. You got Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. There's been a resurrection. He ain't on CNBC talking about stocks and bonds. He's on the football field trying to play. We got all of this going on. We got Kerrigan and Norman and Barron and the crew talking about, balling and all of this stuff. But if the playoffs were to begin today, the Washington Redskins would not be in it. So I just wanted to make sure that what you saw Gruden talking like he was talking, he's ticked off because we got a whole bunch of dudes up there that bloviates, but they didn't back it up. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking facts, not emotion, not emotion. I'm giving you facts.
Let me say,
that's all the brother's saying.
That's all the brother's saying. What Jay Gruden's really saying, and I don't think he's really fully aware of what he's saying, but there's a term, JAG, just a guy, right? And I realize when I say this about the NFL, it's at the highest standard in the world. So if you're average in the NFL, you are amazing. But by the context of the highest league in the world, you're just a guy. Washington's just a team. They're just a team. They're just like an average NFL team. Well, I understand the acronyms. I've just never heard JAG or JAG.
Yeah, well,
so that's new.
And by the way, JAG's actually in my Instagram bio.
Okay.
And just a guy.
And by the way,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jay Gruden, great coach to be a coach in the NFL of a solid team. But by NFL standards, Jack, just a coach. I mean, he's just got a team. Basically what he's saying is, we made all these mistakes. This was what was bad about us. That's right. Like most teams, you're in the middle of the pack. There's nothing special about Washington. They're just a team. And that's what got Coach upset. He wants to be something more than that, but they're not.
My only response to that is, they may be just another team because of their results. They're not just another team in terms of their talent, because there's a whole bunch of teams that wish they had that talent.
Well,
they are underachieving.
The same way we sat here after they tied Cincinnati, and we talked about this team, and we talked about all those offensive weapons. And you guys were kind of pressing me like, well, what does this mean? I said it means they'll be entertaining. And that's what they are. They are a middle-of-the-pack team, which most teams in the NFL are.
Right.
You talk about the curve all the time. You have a couple that may be on this side, a couple that's on this side, and in the curve, that's where everybody else sits. So that comes down to execution. And that's what Jay Gruden is saying. We didn't execute. We gave up a 16-play drive early in the game. We come back on the field, and we have 2 penalties to start the drive. If you look at this game, they have it, right? It's 4th and 1. You have an opportunity to stop David Johnson. Bruce Arians makes the call to go for it.
Can't do it.
And you give up 15 yards on the run. That defense has been what's let them down all year. Kirk Cousins threw for enough yardage yesterday. They made enough plays on offense. But you go back to even the Dallas game, this team is not finding ways to make winning plays, which makes them entertaining, but it doesn't make them threats. It doesn't make them a team that you will fear playing down the stretch. But look at the record, though, Steve. Look at the schedule, though.
I understand it.
They have a chance to get in.
I know they have a chance to get in, but that's not where I'm going. Because since they opened their mouth, see, that was after they beat the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Since they opened their mouths and they wanted to feel themselves and stick their chest out and act like, we Redskins, the NFC East champions. They are 2-3-1. Now I ask you this question, Ryan Clark, because obviously your astute analysis cannot be denied, and we understand that. But the flip side to it, Ryan, but the flip side to this, Ryan Clark, is this: if you were on this team with this talent, are they just another team? Are they a 6-5-1 team with that talent? If you were on that team wearing that uniform in that locker room, seeing the talent that they have, would this be acceptable to you?
Well, it's never acceptable to lose. Period. It's never acceptable to lose.
It might be acceptable to the Jaguars,
but they Rams,
know. Or the 49ers.
If you look at these guys, if you look at this team defensively, Will Compton has been a revelation. He's played excellent in the middle. Mm-hmm. Josh Norman, he's a really good corner. He can't play both sides. You lose both of your safeties, your starting safeties, to injuries. And in that, D'Angelo Hall, who is a leader.
Oh, yes, he was.
So when you go back and look at the pieces of this team in totality, it's good. It's not great. The quarterback, even though he's franchising, he's making $19 million. This isn't a guy you go draft to start your team and build your team around. He's a guy that's going to put up good numbers. If you play against the Green Bay Packers, who are decimated in the secondary, he can explode.
You mentioned execution. I think that's right, because Stephen A. is insisting that there's this super talented team. I see them as typically NFL talented. Maybe what side of the curve? Maybe over the hump of the curve.
Over the middle.
Over the middle, but not much. Just a little bit.
I think they're better than average.
Well, offensively they are. When you go Crowder, Reed was out yesterday, but you go Crowder, Deshaun.
But wait a minute. But see, these are elements that I think y'all are missing. Who was the dude that talked junk and called the Cowboys the Cowgirls? Wasn't that Robert Kelly?
Oh, yeah, the rookie.
What did he do since then?
You know, hold on. When you're from New Orleans,
Wait a minute. These are facts. I'm not giving you emotion. I'm giving you facts. The brother ran for about 137 yards, if I remember correctly, the day he said that. Then he goes up against the Cowboys. What did he run for? About 35 yards?
37.
What did he do? What did he do yesterday? He ran for about 63 yards. You see, the point is, everyone that talks on the Redskins drops. They do what you said Brady's going to do. They drop. They go like this, Molly. Bam! I mean, hard. You know, like Coach said, falling like a bag of bricks. They got better talent than
Just remember, it's about execution.
Okay.
You have the Eagles coming up.
Okay.
The Panthers.
They're gonna beat the Eagles.
Bears.
They're gonna
the
beat the
Giants.
Eagles.
Exactly. My point is,
that
though,
sounds like
and
a
the Bears.
2-2 record to me.
And the Bears. And the Bears.
We'll see.
2-2 record.
And the Bears. They'll lose to the Giants.
Let's leave it there, guys.
See that? I
Ryan,
looked out for you.
thank you.
I looked out for you.
Thank you. Ryan, you're staying with us, but we got more games to get into, folks.
Ryan from the pocket, in zone. That time it's a touchdown, and it's Aldridge Robinson.
Now Ryan will throw it to the center. This could be returned for two. This could be points for Kansas City. It would get Kansas City the lead. It's Eric Berry. 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. It is a 2-point conversion the other way for Kansas City.
Unbelievable. The Chiefs with the 1-point win. Eric Berry with the great comeback story of the season back home in Georgia with his mom in the stands, and he gets the go-ahead interception return for 2 points on the Falcons' 2-point attempt with 4:32 remaining. But on the other side, the Falcons have now lost 4 of their last 7 after starting 4-1 and are tied with Tampa for first in the NFC South. Max, are the Falcons going to let this one slip away?
I think so. I think, not to oversimplify, but Jameis Winston's like, I'm not a loser, and hasn't lost since then. And they have all this momentum. I know it's a terrible word in sports, but actually in a full contact sport where that kind of adrenaline and confidence, I think, makes a big difference. I think this actually is there's truth to it. You look at the Falcons, what happened last year? 6-1, they're on top of the world. And then what was it? They lost 7 of their last 9.
Yeah.
This year again, off to a fast start, just lost 4 of their last 7. And what does it come down to? What's the question we asked about the Falcons? It's the same question we asked about really their counterparts in the AFC, the Raiders, and even to a lesser extent, teams like the Lions or the Giants or the Steelers, teams where you look at their offensive potential and you go, that could really be something. Can the defense just play well enough? Can they gel over the course of a season? The Raiders, that's happening. The Falcons, it's the opposite. Stephen A., 30th in opposing QBR. They turn every opposing quarterback into like an elite quarterback. 27th in yards per game. They give up the most first downs. I mean, they have a terrible defense. And it's coming back to kill them right now in the stretch run. I think they lose this division. I think they lose their lead. They've already lost it. I don't think they get out of the division.
Well, first of all, I'll be the first to admit I think you're wrong. That's number one. Number two, I don't blame you, however, for taking the position that you take, because I'm very, very disappointed in Matt Ryan. I'm tired of him being called Matty Ice. When you deserve a nickname when you win, and somehow he comes up small in big moments, as gifted as he is, and I'm sick and tired of that. He's too talented, too gifted, too good to come up so small on several occasions. He manned up and openly admitted that he should not have thrown that interception to Eric Berry, returned 102 yards for a safety, essentially. Mad love to Eric Berry. He's big time.
What a story.
The lymphoma a couple of years ago, it was beautiful seeing him give the football to his mom and the whole bit. Homecoming of sorts, obviously, really, literally.
Yep.
But here's the reality. Here's why I'm not losing faith in the Atlanta Falcons. Because of their schedule. They got the Rams next. Damn it, that might as well be a bye week. I mean, it's Jeff Fisher coaching them. We'll talk about him later. Okay, we got that going on. After that, you got the 49ers. I take it back. That's a bye week. That's a real bye week, okay? We understand how awful the San Francisco 49ers were. Colin Kaepernick, how's life going for you these days? We'll talk about that another time as well. And then, of course, you got Carolina, who's tough. But at the same time, they've been a shell of themselves this year. I personally blame Gettleman because he had no replacement for Josh Norman. And then the last game of the season is probably going to be their toughest. They've got New Orleans, but that's at home. So I think their schedule is relatively soft.
It is.
What I will say to you is this. The Atlanta Falcons, I believe, are going to take this division. Their defense was incredibly disappointing yesterday. They couldn't get stops when they needed to get stops. You needed to get the football back. You couldn't do it. Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit because he's just an outstanding coach, proving it yet again.
And we'll get into him in a little while too, yeah.
But the point is that regardless of what we want to say or think about Kansas City, you expect better from Atlanta. Their defense does not get stops when they really, really need to. And offensively, I don't want to see Matty Ice make the mistakes that he made. A matter of fact, like I just said, I'm going to start calling him Matt Ryan from now on. He doesn't deserve a nickname. With his talent and the money that he earns, good guy, by the way, step up and handle your business in these particular situations. If you're going to throw a pass, to take a lead, to secure, you already got the lead. But the only thing that could kill you is a safety, all right? What you do is you make sure you throw it in a situation where it can't be picked off right at the front of the end zone and returned with no resistance. Throw it into the corner, throw it into the back of the end zone where if it's incomplete or if it gets intercepted, you got a better chance of tackling somebody. He's too experienced to make the kind of mistakes that he makes. And it's always in key pivotal moments or key pivotal games.
In the last game of the season, you bring up the Saints. They're another team. And early in the season, it's tough to tell. I guess if you look at the Raiders and you see a talent like Khalil Mack on the defense, you go, maybe they have a better chance. Or the Giants, they spend a lot of money on defense. Maybe they have a chance to have that defense working by the end of the season. But the Lions, I didn't see that their defense would continue to improve to the point where they could have the outing that they just had. And the Saints are much more like the Falcons, the last game of the season for the Falcons, a team where you thought if somehow the defense could just be good, and they're not good enough. And so this time of year, it starts separating the contenders from the pretenders, right? Steelers and Giants still in the mix, Lions getting better and better, Raiders looking like world beaters, and the Falcons and the Saints, since you brought them up, going the other way. But I put the Falcons with the Saints in that category, going the wrong way.
I don't feel that way with this, especially you just made my point even more because I brought up the 3 previous games before the Saints in L.A., San Francisco, and Carolina. In L.A., San Francisco, Carolina. But then you just talked about what you're seeing from the Saints, and that's their last game of the season in the ATL. To me, Atlanta should win all 4 of these games. No, I'm saying you might be right, but they should win, or not just winnable, they should be favored for every single one of these games. Every one of them.
Look at what they have on offense. Matt Ryan, I agree with your criticism about Matt Ryan. Julio Jones, a couple of good running backs. They got enough, and they've shown that throughout the year. They can put points on the board. They have, and this is not changing, it hasn't changed all year. I don't know why anyone would think it would change going forward, a terrible defense. And that's their undoing, and that's why Tampa's going to win the division.
All right, we got a couple other NFC teams we want to get into coming up next.